Hello and welcome to the first episode of Non-Mainstream Dad. My name is Morgan Jones. This show is devoted to talking about responsible non-monogamy and alternative lifestyles, mainly, but there will be a little deviance and adventure on topics, I promise. My current plan is to kind of walk through the progression, learning if poly is right for you and some of the considerations, pitfalls, and joys of living life this way. The name of today's episode is Why Am I Talking? I wanted to take this episode to introduce myself so you can have an idea of why I have any kind of reason to talk about these topics and where my agency comes at all. I'm not a researcher or a sex therapist. I'm not doing this for research or for my doctorate, nor do I claim to be a sex therapist. No offense to anyone who comes from those backgrounds. I'm a person who works hard as a sex educator from personal experience and personal concern. I came to be polyamorous and kinky due to a lot of different reasons that I'll go over in the next episodes. But to start, I decided to start making these episodes to start sharing some of the life and relationship experiences I've gathered over the last 50 years. I've made a lot of my fair share of mistakes, and I want to give folks the option to learn from me and hopefully avoid mine. Let me start out with a few facts about me. First, I have an adult son who is wonderfully supportive and amazingly similar to his weird dad. He's grown up poly, and that's led him to learn a lot of things that folks older than I will never understand about loving, compersion, and acceptance of people. I'm really proud of him. So I'm going to stop for a second. As an aside, I just used a poly term, and I'm going to use it again in another episode. So let me go ahead and explain it for you. And that word was compersion. Compersion means to get happiness and joy for another person's happiness and joy. Meaning there's nothing actually really in it for you. You're just happy that they're happy. You get that when your kids are happy, or it's one of those kind of things. Compersion is it's really something that you understand when you can understand. It's something we might get to. We'll get to an episode where we explain it, but it's something that really is a concept that you can experience with other things than poly, so it's easier to explain and relate to. But I'll get into it later. My true passion is organizing and other grassroots motivational tools to advocate for, educate, and empower people to accept themselves, to embrace themselves, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and sexually. I've been in recovery since 1990, and I'm a survivor of abuse. I'm a pagan. I'm a devotee and priest of Pan, and what that means for our purposes is that I'm an advocate for freedom, the exercise of free will, and I believe that denying yourself pleasure is silly, unless you have a really good reason for it. Don't mistake me, you have to take responsibility and accept the consequences for your actions. All choices have a consequence. There's always a balancing between pain and pleasure, and there's always a balancing between reward and punishment when they're due. I'm active in my local pagan community, and I've been the event organizer for Indie Pagan Pride Day for 18 of its 21 years. I really love going to festivals, and my favorite color is teal. I've been an active polyamorous since I started dating at the age of 14. Back then, I had a really bad habit of falling for best friends. Then somehow I would manage to find myself dating both of them and others. It would go mostly smoothly, and I was lucky that any time the girls would stop being friends, usually neither would ask me to stop seeing the other. But it did happen on occasion, and those relationships had their own set of issues. I'm really not sure how I lucked out on that. I really am not. From the beginning, I was always open and upfront about who else I was dating besides that person, though. And I wasn't involved in my first actual closed monogamous relationship until I was 24. I've been involved in the local poly and kink community since 1996, and I've attended events in Indianapolis, Bloomington, Columbus, and Louisville. And I'm looking for new places to go and share. Recently, after 10 years, I decided to step down as the organizer for our local poly meetup. We'd grown to over 1,000 members, and at one point we had over 7 events every month all over different sides of the town. It's something I'm really proud of, However, I felt it was time for new management and blood. It was time for some new ideas, and I needed to move on to new projects like this one. I've organized and run a workshop event focused camping events on polyamory, kink, and alternative and sacred sexuality for over 15 years. Most recently, this is incarnated as Libertine. It's an event that's held over Labor Day weekend. It's currently on a temporary hiatus at the moment, but if you'll go to www.labordaylibертine.com, watch there for the announcement of our next event, because that's where we'll post it first. I've been in just about every type of relationship configuration you can come up with. I'm pansexual, and I've been in triads, quads, quints, V's, W's, X, Y's, and Z's. I have had up to 7 ongoing, committed, long-term, more than 2 years relationships simultaneously, while still finding time to find new people to date and connect with. People are cool and interesting. It happens. Anytime I sit down and try and map out a Visio, diagram, or workflow, or any kind of bubble thing to see who is attached to who, it looks like we're smashing atoms together, and their resulting chain reactions are creating brand new compounds and super elements. It's kind of weird. Google Calendar is my life. I'm just saying. Yes, I'm a real live practicing non-monogamous. While there are times it can look a lot more like relationship anarchy, I'll explain that in the next episode. I really don't care about the labels. I currently have one nesting partner and multiple other partners with different dynamics and emotional needs. So, there you have it. I hope you'll agree with me that I have at least a little bit of experience and background to speak on these topics, and you'll get something from my videos. Thank you for watching Non-Mainstream Dad. My name is Morgan Jones. Please tune into our next episode, Why I'm Poly. Please subscribe so you can get updates as we take our journey, and please feel free to leave comments or ask questions, and I'll do my best to respond in the comments, or you may even inspire an episode's worth of response. See you then.